Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the November 18th, 2025 meeting of the White Bear Lake Conservation District Board to order. We have a quorum. Thanks everybody for being here. We are called to order. And third item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Would anyone like to make any changes to tonight's agenda?
I would like to add the administrator's salary under new business.
Okay. Chris?
And I'm gonna, for the LUC, we're gonna take the approval for Tallies, East Shore Dock Association, and McCartney Estates off the agenda.
Tallies, East Shore, McCartney?
Tallies, East Shore, and McCartney, yeah.
Okay. And then, is that it for you?
That's it.
Then we should.
And add Horseshoe.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, right, and the barely open, and I would like to add barely open in the VFW Horseshoe.
Okay, so we're adding the Barely Open application and the VFW Horseshoes on Ice application.
Correct.
Okay. Anyone else? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the amended agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes. We have an agenda. Next item is approval of the October 21st, 2025 meeting minutes. Does anybody have any adjustments to those meeting minutes that they would like to suggest? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A second to approve the October 21st, 2025 meeting minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes. Okay, public comments. At each of our meetings, we reserve 15 minutes for the public to come and address the board on items that are not on the meeting agenda. And is anyone here that would like to take advantage of that 15 minutes? Okay, we'll move on to new business. First item there is we have a new board member, Shelley Dropkin. She's a representative for Birchwood. Shelley, thank you for being on the board. All right, that sounds great. Okay, so next item is the Ramsey County Water Patrol 2025 activity presentation. And Alan, do you want to set this up for us?
I certainly can. Thank you, Chair and Board. Mike Servatka is our sergeant. He is in charge of Water Patrol for Ramsey County. And of course, he was here in the spring, and due to some other schedule conflicts, we couldn't be here last month to give basically the report about what happened on the lake. He is here tonight. You should have in your packet the by the numbers part of the program, which he'll be able to highlight, and he can answer questions about the general patrol over the summer. And Mike, if you would.
Hi, thanks for having me. Officially now commander of Water Patrol. That's okay. Took a promotion, official promotion, about a month ago. And just so you know, I graduated before Brian, so I am older than him. Start off, my apologies. I did not proofread my own document when I set it out. It starts off with too many 2024s and not 2025s. This is the actual 2025. I'll send the corrected version out tomorrow when I'm in the office. The biggest highlight is you gave us or authorized us to spend up to $12,000. We only spent $8,300 of the $12,000. The question I'm sure is going to come up, well, how did that happen? I still had one of my deputies was on military leave, and of course when he came back, then Deputy Bryce Takamoto also got promoted when he came back, so he had to go through some more schooling, which kept him out of my office for a significant part of the summer. And one of my part-time deputies injured himself, so I did not have him for August. So hence, some of the monies did not get spent. So we, some of you are aware, but we are staffed with full-time staff and part-time staff. We're one of the few agencies left in the state that uses part-time staff to supplement our water patrol. Once my staff retires, the state has said they no longer are going to issue part-time license. So when I finally lose them, we're going to have to figure out a replacement for some of those hours. Commander Eric Brott, who you know previously worked in my position, if you've been around a while, he retired a couple years ago, but did decide to come back and work part-time for me this summer. He was quite known on White Bear Lake, spent a lot of time out there. So that's one of the reasons the money didn't get spent. And then funding-wise, well, I also get a grant from the state. So some of my staff will bounce from lake to lake to lake on our state grant. So trying to, when they get on White Bear Lake all the time, and then use that money up when they're bouncing from lake to lake is financially hard to do, so we try not to do that, and I keep them on the state grant. Hence, they're still on the lake, but they're being paid by a different grant. So statistic-wise, we kind of stayed about the same, I think. We did have a lot of verbal warnings. And a good way to show that is there's a lot of paddle boarders on White Bear Lake. And paddle boarders sometimes forget that they have to have a life jacket on the paddleboard. But stopping a paddleboard and issuing a written citation is kind of hard on the paddleboarder. You know, they got to stop. They're trying to pull up to your boat. So we tend not to do that. We give a verbal warning with those kind of interactions just for the safety of the paddleboarder. Trying to pull up to the boat is kind of hard on them without falling in the water. So we did have 2 major incidents on the lake. I talked about them, I think, earlier this year. We did have a drowning in June where a person lost their life falling off a pontoon. And then the next week after that, during the triathlon, we had a gentleman that had a heart attack and passed away because of his participation in the triathlon. So both tragedies. The first one, the drowning, was a multi-agency response from everybody that has a stake in White Bear Lake, Washco side and the Ramsey side. Has brought a lot of discussion about how to always operate better. So I actually have a meeting with those entities in December, and we're going to look at doing some kind of training on the lake in May before the season starts. All the fire departments and the county, and maybe even get the DNR involved. So, any questions about the report?
Meredith?
Thank you for being here tonight. Congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking good care of safety on White Bear Lake. So I'm in charge of education, and I'm wondering what other things besides life jackets on paddleboarders are you seeing frequently that I could reach out to our community and try to put more information out about?
I think, as you can see, written citations is 7. To me, that's a very low number, which tells me education actually is having an impact on the lake. Because we don't give warnings for no PFDs anymore. I think in society we know we all need a PFD, so we issue citations for that. We didn't actually issue too many. Those were other violations we issued. But I think always at the beginning of the season, if we're sending something out reminding our commercial bay participants, remind your staff or to remind the boaters out there that they're dealing with that they need a PFD. I guess the whole paddleboarder thing seems to be a young person issue, and I just don't think they know. They go from swimming in the lake to just jumping on their paddleboard and going, and they don't realize they need a life jacket on there. So I don't know. It's a good question.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Alan?
I'll throw something out there. And by the way, thank you, honor a young person on a paddleboard. But I actually got a citation on White Bear because, of course, when paddleboards were in their infancy, nobody thought they had to have a license, like a watercraft license. And so the state treats them like a canoe or anything else. So yeah, I got a unforced error in the form of a citation for being out on a 12-foot paddleboard without a sticker. Anyway, just in terms of patterns and trends, I know you talked to the folks over in Hennepin, and you know the sexy subject are wakeboard boats and regulation and whatnot. And so any opinions on where that's gone, sort of in the metro as far as enforcement goes?
I don't think it's lost on this group, the study that came out about the damage that wakeboard boats can do to the lake. That's a White Bear Lake Conservation District issue. As far as a public safety issue, that really doesn't fall in our realm. So at this time, we don't have a comment on it. We'll leave that up to the government entities to decide how they want to address that issue on each lake. So.
Okay, anything else, Alan?
No.
Okay, well, thanks for your service, and thanks for coming out and talking to us tonight.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Just in the same vein, at some point, we'll have 2026 contract to review, so that's not before you tonight, though. Right?
Right. Moving on. Amended ordinance 9, Part 3, Section 3.01. This is a change to our ordinance to come more in line with, I believe, the county or state regulations as far as hours of operation. And Alan, do you just want to get us going on the right foot here?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better than it's captioned. Basically, if you read through the packet, it's a very surgical change. It just has to do with the hours of operation. And if you approve first reading, we'll bring it back in January, and we'll have a quick public hearing on it and pass it, publish it, and it'll just become part of the books. So nothing too dramatic.
And just to be clear, so the change is our ordinance currently reads 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. No person shall operate a personal watercraft between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m., and that will change to no person shall operate a personal watercraft between 1 hour before sunset and 9:30 a.m. the following day. So can we consider that our first reading?
As soon as you vote on it.
Yep. Okay, so the plan here is that we would vote on this, and if that's approved, we would have a second reading in January with an associated public hearing to get input from the public, and then we would make it final or otherwise at the January meeting.
And publish it. And publish it.
And publish it. So I'll make a motion to approve the first reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the first reading. Any discussion? Chris?
How did we come up with 9:30 a.m.?
That's what the county, I believe, has is their regulation on it.
For Washington and Ramsey?
I think it's just for Ramsey.
I think it's DNR.
Is it DNR?
Yeah.
Okay, then there you go.
So it's a DNR.
So it's be consistent, basically. So
I was just asking where it's from.
That's
It's
where it
from the
came
DNR,
from.
It's from the DNR. Okay. So it's matching that.
Yep.
Yeah, I found it here in the Minnesota statutes.
Okay.
So it's a Minnesota state law.
Thanks, Mark.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. And, okay. So the next, so the next item on the agenda is Shadow Gay Condominium Association. And Chris, do you want to start us off here?
So Shadowgate, I think everybody knows where Shadowgate is. It's down by Optimist Beach in between that and Ramsey. It's the condos, or what you want to call it. Very shallow area. Last year they came in and their diagram did not match anything that they had down there. It was like, I think they had 200 feet for their dock. When you looked at it, it's 400. So we worked with Shannon and folks at their place to get them a better diagram. And that was last year, and we approved it with a variance to extend it out to 416. This variance is to come back in, since the water depths are roughly the same in that spot. They're asking for, due to low water, to have the same length at 416.
And just to be clear, so I think the procedure here is to act on the application, and then we'll go into a public hearing, and we'll discuss the variance, and then we will take some action on the variance.
So make a motion to approve the permit
Up to,
up to 300 feet?
yep.
Okay, I think I'm following you. I'll make a motion to approve Shadow Date's permit up to 300 feet.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve up to 300 feet. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes. So now it's after 7:10. So I will, well, we just set it up. So we're going to vote on the public hearing pertains to a variance request from Shadowgate. And I'm going to open the public hearing.
The variance of 116 feet from the maximum length.
That's right. What Alan said. Okay, so we're in a public hearing. Would anyone from the public like to make any comments on this item? Okay, would you mind coming up to the microphone? Thank you. And if you can just give us your name, that would be great.
Hi, I'm Barb Collins, and I live at Shadowgate, and I'm here for Shannon because she is out of town. So I don't know if I have to say anything, but it's on the variance that at 300 feet, there's only about 16, 18 inches of water, and it's hard for the boats to get in and out. So I don't know if you have any questions for me, or if you just needed to know if someone was from.
I think it's straightforward.
All right, we're good?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Thank you.
Once public testimony is given, then they deliberate, and if they have questions, they'll call you back up.
Okay, would anybody else like to make, anybody else from the public like to make comments? Anybody else? Okay, one more time, would anybody like to make comments? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing, and we can have some discussion. You know, I will just make a motion to approve the variance to 116 feet.
Second?
We have a motion and a second now. Any discussion?
Just a
Brian.
quick question. So, Chris, you said last year it was at what length?
It's the same here. Their length is at 416.
Yeah.
That was their length. And their permit, what they had was it was 200.
Okay,
So we're
so
like,
it's
well,
been
that's not
matched.
right. Because we get on our Google Earth and we do our measurements and look at some of the stuff. We're like, let's work on your permit and try to get the diagram to match what you're really representing in the lake. That was the big effort there to get that. Then once you have that, then we realize, well, now you have to do a variance for that, that extension if that's what we're going to go towards. So that's kind of how it progressed.
Okay, so pretty much in the same spot.
Same spot.
I'm sensing that it is too, so we're not worried about it jutting out any further than it was
They're not
last year.
changing the structure. It's just, they're going to have to go through this process if they're going to be outside the bounds of the 300 feet ordinance.
Yeah, makes sense. Very good, thank you.
Any further discussion?
And it's probably worth noting that there were no complaints last year about that extra length, right?
No, not that I know of. I did not share, I didn't share with, yeah.
Yeah. Just good to note when you're making an extension that big.
No, were no complaints. Yep. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. We've had some discussion. I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor of approving the variance, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes.
Good.
Yes. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is administrator salary. And Meredith, do you want to set that up?
Okay, we are so grateful to have the help of Sherry. She's been an extraordinary asset to the board, and I'd like to make a motion to increase her salary by $1 an hour effective January 1st, 2026.
Second. Say we have a motion and a second to increase our administrator's salary by $1 an hour. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes. Thank you. Okay, so unfinished business, there is none. So we're on to reports and action items. The executive committee did not meet in between the October and November meetings, so there's no report there. So Lake Quality Committee, Mike?
Lake level today is 922.81. 922.81. So that's 2 3/4 inches lower than last month, and it is 2 3/4 inches higher than last year. Water temperature is 39 degrees. Last year it was 42 degrees, and the lake froze on December 12th. And the year before that, it was 33 degrees, and the lake froze on December 6th. So that means the lake's going to freeze on December 10th. Now, I'll be totally wrong, but
Love it.
by the numbers,
I like it. Okay.
so we'll see what happens. Next is the 2026 DNR Aquatic Invasive Species Grant, which became eligible to apply for that on November 10th, and I did, and completed it, and I got a response back that they received everything, and then I got a response back from the administrator saying that she received it and it was complete, and if I wanted to add anything, all I had to do was contact her. I can't think of anything to add, so.
Do you know when they'll make that decision?
When will they?
Yeah.
No. Last year, I got notified fairly early that we didn't get it, so the longer I wait, the better we are.
Okay. All right, any questions for Mike? Okay, thank you, Mike. Moving on to the Lake Utilization Committee, Chris?
All right, we got a list. The first one is Docks of White Bear Lake. If you look at the permit, it's identical to last year. And one thing I did get confused, and Mike McGoldrick helped me straighten this out. What was in the drone pictures compared to what we have, that was the variance that we approved because we went straight out, and that structure did change on the variance. They're going back to the original permit within their ADOA because they're not asking for a variance right now until they figure out water depth through the winter. So everything looked good there. There were some discussions on the south, or I should be Mike's north and Tally's south property line, the ones that butt up. Mike did meet with Connor, who is Keith's son, Keith is the owner of Tally's, last year, but I think Keith has some discrepancies there where they have to get in sync on where that line needs to go. We know the line needs to be the Whitaker line. So they'll meet, figure it out, and if they can't, we'll step in and we'll figure out how we can help with that. But other than that, everything was good, and we approved it from the LUC. So make a motion to approve Docks of White Bear Lake for 2026.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? And I'll just ask, the approval's not contingent on anything.
We did not do contingent on it.
Okay.
It's highly recommended, and that was 250 slips, too, for what we approved on.
Okay. Anyone else have any items on this one? Meredith?
I just love to see the number of slips in the motion, because then when I go back and read the minutes, then it's so much easier.
I got a whole list of numbers. My boss of this job, she told me to get that done, so we got that on there.
So can we amend the motion to include the number of slips?
Oh, sure. I'll do the motion over. So pull her back, or just make the motion.
You can just amend it.
I'll amend the motion for approval for Docks of White Bear Lake for 2026 and 250 slips.
Second?
Okay, so second's okay. So we have an amended motion and a second. Any additional discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes.
Next one on the list, City of White Bear Lake, and there's 3 of them. There's the Marina, Mataska Park, and the Dog Beach. The Marina has 160 slips. Mataska Park had 28 moorings, 29 slips, and the dog park. The LUC approved those, and I make a motion to approve the Marina for 160 slips, Mataska Park for 28 moorings, 28 slips, municipal slips, and the dog park fence.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 3 items in front of us from the City of White Bear Lake. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes.
The next one on the list, White Bear Yacht Club. Identical to last year. They have a commercial side to it and a residential side. So the non-commercial, they had 22 slips, and for the commercial, they had 24. The non-commercial ones are really the sailboats for the sailing school. There is a sheriff boat there that we don't charge, and a ramp that they have to pull their sailboats in and out. No complaints, so I'd make a motion to approve the White Bear Yacht Club for 22 non-commercial slips, 24 commercial, and 1 skid ramp.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the White Bear Yacht Club application. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Next one on the list. No, this is Schneider Bay Beach Club, identical to last year. So I make a motion to approve Schneider Bay Beach Club for 11 slips for 2026.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the Snyder Bay application. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes.
Next one on the list, Hickory Street Dock Association, identical to last year. This is on the Matamidi side, and it has 5 boats there. I make a motion to approve the Hickory Street Dock Association for 5 slips for 2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Hickory Street Dock Association application. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes.
The next one, Cottage Park HOA, identical to last year. I make a motion to approve Cottage Park HOA for 14 slips for 2026.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the Cottage Park permit application. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes.
The next one, Forest Heights. There is a revision here from last year, and it mainly centered around the dock length. I don't think we've had even when we've worked in the past, we've had the number. I don't think it's been exact. So with that, I'll make what we basically said was we'll approve up to 300 feet for whatever for the dock length they have. If it's 4 feet, that's where it stops.
So up to 300 feet
300 or 4 feet.
4
Right.
feet,
So
whichever.
basically what they'll do is they'll figure it out next spring. They'll put it in, they'll figure out the exact, and then they'll come back and give us a measurement. Also, we talked about some slip angles to help with the impeding on the neighbor's southern side of their dock. So with those 2 things, I'll make a motion to approve Forest Heights with the amendment of them having to have their dock at 300 feet or up to 4 feet, whatever's less, or
Whatever results in the shortest
whatever
dock
the
length.
shortest dock, and having the angle of those slips try to not impede on the neighbor's southern border.
10 boats.
10 boats.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Diane?
How do you see the angle?
I mean, like some of those, you see how they're almost straight, like that last one? Number, let me show you. So the problem is, like, when people have their boat here on the southern side, these things are backing into here. It's tight. So if these can angle at more even like these, like you see how that's straight?
So you want that like that?
Yep.
Okay.
Just so they can come in easier and dock better.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes.
The next one, Beverly Driscoll, 9 slips. This is where all the A-boats are, identical to last year. So I make a motion to approve Beverly Driscoll for 2026 for 9 slips.
Second?
And a second to approve the Beverly Driscoll application. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes.
Next one, Special Olympics Polar Plunge. I'll make a motion to approve the Special Olympics Polar Plunge for 2026 and waiving the application fee.
Second to approve and waive the application fee for the Special Olympics Polar Plunge. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes.
And another event, the Barely Open for the food shelf. I'll make a motion to approve the Barely Open and waive the application fee for that also.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the Barely Open application and waive the application fee. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes.
And the last one, this is the VFW Horseshoe and Ice. I'll make a motion to approve the VFW Horseshoe and Ice event.
Second.
Motion to approve, and motion and second to approve the VFW Horseshoes on Ice. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes. Wow. Okay, any questions for
That's
Chris?
unusually busy.
Okay, Chris, I'll just say, that went very well, and I think that's in, large part because of you and what your LUC folks have done, and thank you
Thanks,
for that.
Brian.
And
Appreciate
Sherry.
it. Sherry is the ringleader, trust me.
Yeah. You've made all our lives much easier, and personally, I appreciate that.
No problem, thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to the Lake Education Committee. Meredith?
Okay, the Lake Study presentation progress. Sherry and I are zeroing in on a date and location for the Blue Water Science presentation of Lake Use Study and Trends reports. It's likely going to be a Tuesday in late January or early February at the White Bear Lake Library, but we can't reserve the library until 60 days before the event, so that is coming up. So we'll let you know soon what day we can get the library. We chose a Tuesday night because of the library hours are conducive to having an evening event. So tonight because it's going to be probably a week or two or maybe 3 after our next meeting, I'd like to have approval of funds for that event. So I'd like to make a motion to let the Lake Education Committee spend up to $200 on printing, plates, napkins, snacks, and a few refreshments for this presentation.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the LUC spending up to $200. Any discussion? Mike?
They have ample funds in the budget if they want to spend more. You're budgeted to spend more. Get better cookies or
Better snappers.
Okay, any additional?
Would the board like us to spend more?
Yes.
Really?
Got a budget, got to use a budget. Yeah. Yeah. We want to make a big splash with this. That was a pun. Yeah.
I liked it.
Just because the money's there, we don't spend it, Mike. You sound like a true government person.
Would you like to amend the amount, or are you comfortable with the 200?
Sherry, too.
If you really wanted to people to know, maybe we'd do an advertisement, and that might cost money. I don't know how you could publicize it more. That'd be a lot of money, though.
Okay, let's go up to $400, and we'll explore an advertisement.
Is the second okay with the up to 400? Okay. Motion and a second for an amended motion to spend up to $400, which is still within the LUC budget. Any additional discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes.
Okay, on the same line, our educational outreach, the Winter Laker, will be coming out in December. It's an end-of-the-year issue, and we will be advertising the event with Blue Water Science there, as well as on our social media. So we do have some advertisement already, and I'm not just going to spend the money to spend the money. We will investigate thoroughly if we think it's going to bring us a return. We are also advertising our winter cleanup, which is now scheduled for March 7th. That's the first Saturday after the ice houses are required to be off the lake. We are also in the Winter Laker, we're going to add something about marking docks if they're left on the ice, so they're visible to snowmobilers and other Winter Lake users. And we're going to have something about salt and how it's bad for the lake. And then finally, on our social media, I have a whole 2 months, so let me know if you'd like me to post something, but I'm going to post something about our ordinance change, something about marking docks that are left on the ice in the winter, hopefully something on Ice In for December 10th, the winter cleanup, March 7th, the Blue Water Science presentation, and ice safety reminders usually go up after the ice is in. But I'm happy to post anything anyone would like. And that's it from Lake Education.
Just one question. When will you set the date for the report open house?
So the first possible date I think we could do it, Sherry and I think we can get it together, is the Tuesday after our next board meeting, which is January 27th. So we wouldn't know if we could get that day until November 27th.
So the idea is go for that one. If you can't get it, go for it.
Then we probably will go for February 3rd.
Okay. Okay, any?
But we will keep you updated. As soon as we know, we will let the board know.
Okay, any questions for Meredith? Okay, thank you, Meredith. Moving on, Treasurer's Report, Mike?
Treasurer's report for October. If you haven't found it, it's on the the last page of the handout that was at your place when you came in. Find it, everybody? Okay. So for October, I would like to make a motion to approve North Star Bank debit 2025 13, 14, 15, and 16, and checks number 2564 through 2568.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the debit expenses and the checks. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Okay, turn that
That
page
passes.
over, and you will see a proposed November Treasurer's Report. We're pretty sure of these numbers, but there could be another one. It could be adjusted, but we're going to go with these. It's a temporary approval. We'll do a final approval in January, since we won't be here in December. So I would like to make a motion that we the November 30th worksheet treasurer's report for 2025.
Second?
Okay, we have motion and a second to approve this projected, estimated report for November. And as Mike mentioned, final approval will occur at our January meeting once we have the final numbers. Any discussion on the motion?
Chris?
On the one for what we just talked about with the sheriff, right? He's at, yeah, well, we're, I know, but I'm saying on that, I take it that 12,000 is for the sheriff, right?
Well, it's going to be changed.
Right, so I take it we change it to the 8370? Is
Exactly.
that- Okay.
Yes.
And just to be clear, so we're not on the December one yet?
I'm sorry.
We're on the November?
That's okay.
And that's the motion, but we'll get to your
No, I've
question.
got it, sorry.
No, that's all right. Okay, so the motion is, and the second are for approval of the November. Any additional discussion on the November, the estimated November treasurer's report?
Yep, sorry, I jumped the gun. Yep.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, Mike?
Now we have the proposed December, which the reason we're doing it now rather than in January is because we want to be able to close out the year, pay people in the proper year that the bill is due. And again, we'll come back with the final one in January for the final approval. But I'd like to have the proposed approval for, and again, Chris, that, that'll be changed to the correct numbers. Proposed approval for the December 31st, 2025 Treasurer's Report.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the estimated December treasurer's report. And again, this will be finalized at our January meeting with the actual numbers. Any discussion? Chris?
Do we think that's going to be roughly what we think we budget with the sheriff going forward? If they can't spend it, or if they can't hire people when they retire? Like, it seems like there's a max at some point that they can just, it's not going to hit it.
No. Well, if I understand your question,
Well, just, I mean, it sounded like, from what I heard from the sheriff, it sounded
Yeah.
like there's only so much they can do, and they're losing people as time, like, they can't cover all these shifts to even spend the 12K.
Right.
That's what I understood, and maybe I'm missing something.
right, but we gave him the ability to spend up to $12,000,
Up to.
but it didn't happen.
Yeah, so we get it back.
So we keep it.
I'm just wondering on budgeting going forward, though, is that the
Well,
number?
but that's, again, budgeting it going forward, I suppose we could take the number for this past year, but we don't want to tie his hands, so we would probably,
I want to give it to Meredith so she can have better parties.
we don't want to handcuff him. So we,
On number two.
And I just wondered, does it make sense to see what the trend is and see what happens next year? If he's having similar kinds of issues, then we might have a little bit of a trend, but I would be it seems to make sense to maybe keep it this way for now, for this next year, and then see what happens. See how next year turns out.
had been at 14,000, and we lowered it, and they weren't spending it all, so we lowered it to 12,000. Now, if we get a couple more years at 8,000, then we'll lower it to 10,000 or something like that. But I guess we want to encourage them to spend as much time as they can out there at the peak times. But
Yeah, and I'll just as background, so we set our 2026 budget in June of 2025. So the 2026 budget has been set, and I assume that has the 12,000, similar to 2025. But yeah, I think that's a great point, that if we see a trend down in a cost, which would be surprising, that we can reevaluate that when we have the budget discussion in April, May, June of 2026. And Alan, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I was going to wait until my report, but it just makes sense to talk about it here. I'll be talking to the sergeant commander about that when we talk about what the proposal is for 2026. He doesn't know yet for exactly the reason that you mentioned. So it's about staffing. For those of you who don't remember, largely what patrols the lake are volunteers. And so you've got all of these sheriff's deputies that just like to go out and be on the lake, and they're really volunteers, and they're part-timers, and so that is a number that varies from year to year, and so he's never quite sure who he's going to get to do that. And the part-timers that get hired for seasonal are also at a lower rate, so they get paid less, and so he likes to use those because, of course, that means that you get more time and more boots on the ground for the money. And so being conscious of the fact that there's a finite number of dollars there. And so you heard what happened this last summer. He was three people down, and I just don't know, because we haven't talked about it, what we can expect for next year. And so I hope that we'll be able to talk about that in exec when I have something concrete from them. And I did emphasize that we need the invoice so we can pay that and clear our books too, because it's a little late in the season to not be getting that as well. So I hope all that stuff will be wrapped up by the end of the year, and we'll have a contract in January so we know what to expect from those guys.
Okay. Mark?
So, Alan, knowing that, I think it'd be helpful. Contract, another 200 to the state contract. It'd be good to know how many volunteer hours were used as well.
And I don't know. I mean, I've given presentations to the volunteers when they all get sort of indoctrinated, and so it's at the patrol office in Arden Hills. And I haven't done that for a few years now, at least since before COVID, just because everything kind of changed, and I don't even know where their volunteer numbers are, where they used to be. I mean, there used to be a whole unit in Ramsey County called Lakes and Trails, so it was an entire department, and that's kind of slowly been tugged back. And so now it's obviously Lake Patrol. They have a boat here, so obviously they're committed to the lake. And beyond that, I won't know until I get a better sense from them what the contract will look like. So I'll ask about those hours too.
And Alan, just to be clear, or so it's clear to me, when we use the word volunteer in this situation, is that actually a volunteer at zero pay, or is that a retired police officer who's coming back to work at a lower rate?
Volunteer is truly a volunteer. And so they hire on part-time for the season to go out to do those patrols, and those are actually licensed people. The volunteers are really there to assist, and they're basically on the boat as well. So they do like to send a couple people out at a time.
Lucky us.
Can I ask one clarification real quick? So the 188 hours are billed to us, and the 200s to a different grant? Is that how I read that or understand that?
Yeah, you heard him talk about there's a state grant.
Yeah.
And so he likes to allocate. I mean, it's all about where the numbers go. So because it's a state grant, you have to be accountable to the GAO about where those hours went. And so that's the breakdown there. And so I think we're at, was it $40 an hour? I can't remember. 45? Yeah. So that will be part of the minutia that comes back to the board, is whether or not there's going to be a raise in pay for those part-timers and all of that stuff that you see in the contract. So I haven't even seen a draft of it yet. So, if we haven't seen the invoice yet for the service, obviously, we're a little behind on the other part too.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second in front of us for approval of the December estimated treasurer's report. Any further discussion on that motion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes. We're on to board council report. Alan?
Thank you, Board and Chair, or Chair and Board. Sorry about the voice, still battling a little bit of a cold. You heard from Mike. I did reach out to Matt, our conservation officer, as I always do. No report, so no drama on the lake. And so now he's off chasing deer hunters, so we won't see anything from the DNR until snow season comes and they're able to get out on the ice. So anything I can extend to them, I'd be happy to do on behalf of the board, but that's that.
Any questions for Alan?
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you, Alan. Announcements. I don't have any announcements. Sherry?
As you know, the board has a break in December, so we will not be meeting, but we will be meeting again on Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Once I've scheduled all the 2026 board meetings with the City Hall, I will send out the year's board meetings to you and have it in the packet next time we meet.
Okay, thanks, Sherry. We're on to item 12, adjournment. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good holiday, guys.